Welcome back to the darkness where the truth hides. Today, we are not just scratching the surface, we are ripping the mask off the entity that tried to destroy you. You are here because you have finally gone no contact. You have erected the wall of silence, hoping for peace, yet you are haunted by a singular, terrifying image, the narcissist looking happier than ever without you. You see their photos, their smiles, their new life, and it feels like a knife twisting in your gut. It feels like you were the problem all along, and now that you are gone, they are finally free to flourish. But I am here to tell you that this visual narrative is the greatest lie they have ever told. The silence you have imposed is not just an absence of communication, it is a psychological weapon of mass destruction against their fragile ego. While they parade around social media with their teeth gleaming and their eyes bright, behind the closed doors of their mind, a catastrophic meltdown is occurring. You are looking at a curated performance, a desperate theater production designed for an audience of one, you. They want you to believe that your absence means nothing, but the reality is that your absence has created a vacuum so terrifying that they are scrambling to fill it with anything that looks like life. We must understand the fundamental nature of the creature we are dealing with. The narcissist does not experience emotions the way you do, they experience life as a series of transactions for fuel. When you cut the cord, you didn't just stop talking to a partner, you cut off the oxygen supply to a drowning man. That smile you see on Instagram? That is the rictus grin of a predator who realizes the prey has escaped the cage. They are not celebrating their freedom, they are panicking because they have lost their primary mirror. They no longer have you to reflect their false grandeur back to them. The torment you feel when you see them happy is exactly what they engineered. They know your empathy is your Achilles heel. They know that if they look miserable, you might pity them, but if they look ecstatic, you will destroy yourself with comparison. It is a calculated psychological strike. But today, we are going to invert the camera. We are going to look at the infrared heat signature of their soul, which reveals that while the exterior is cold and composed, the interior is burning with rage, confusion, and an existential dread that you cannot even imagine. Why does no contact trigger such a primal panic in them? Because to a narcissist, to be ignored is to cease to exist. They do not have an internal sense of self-worth, they are entirely dependent on external validation to know they are alive. When you look at them, argue with them, or cry over them, you are giving them proof of life. When you turn your back and offer them nothing but the void, you are forcing them to face the abyss within themselves. And trust me, there is nothing a narcissist fears more than the hollow echo of their own empty soul. Throughout this video, we are going to dissect the 7 specific signs that prove their internal world is collapsing, regardless of how perfect their external world appears. These are not guesses, these are psychological certainties based on the pathology of the disorder. You need to arm yourself with this knowledge because the illusion of their happiness is the last weapon they have left to hurt you. Once you see through it, they can never touch you again. You will realize that the wizard is just a trembling child behind a curtain, pulling levers to scare you. Think about the energy it takes to maintain a lie. Think about the exhaustion of pretending to be unbothered when your entire source of regulation has vanished. The narcissist is currently working overtime, burning through their cognitive reserves to maintain the facade of the unbothered winner. They are manic, they are frantic, and they are terrified that you will move on and realize that you were the prize all along. They are not living their best life. They are performing a funeral dirge for their own ego, dressed in a clown's costume of happiness. You might be asking, if they are panicking, why haven't they reached out? Or perhaps they have, but in ways you didn't recognize as panic. Panic in a narcissist does not look like anxiety in a normal person. It looks like rage. It looks like immediate replacement. It looks like a smear campaign. It looks like indifference amplified to a pathological degree. We are going to decode these behaviors so that when you see them, you don't feel hurt, you feel vindicated. You will see their actions not as a rejection of you, but as a desperate attempt to stabilize their crumbling reality. The danger of the no-contact phase is not that you will lose them, but that you will believe their propaganda. You are in a psychological war, and your enemy is a master of propaganda. They are broadcasting a signal of "I am better off without you" on every frequency available. But if you listen closely to the static in between the signals, you will hear the screaming. You will hear the desperation of an addict who has been cut off from their drug. You are the drug. And they are currently going through the most brutal withdrawal of their life. Prepare yourself. We are about to walk into the mind of the narcissist during their darkest hour. We are going to expose the mechanics of their panic. By the end of this video, you will no longer look at their happy photos with envy. You will look at them with the cold, clinical detachment of a coroner examining a corpse. You will see the deadness behind the eyes. You will realize that you are the one who escaped a burning building, and they are the one still inside, pretending the flames are just party lights. Let's begin the autopsy of their illusion. To understand their panic, we must first understand the architecture of their need. The narcissist is a bottomless bucket with a hole in the center. During the relationship, you are the faucet, constantly pouring your love, attention, anger, and energy into them. You kept them full enough to function. When you initiate no contact, you turn the faucet off. Immediately, the water level begins to drop. The panic they feel is not heartbreak, it is the sensation of emptying out. It is the terrified realization that without your input, they are returning to their default state, nothingness. This is where the concept of object constancy becomes critical. In a healthy mind, if a loved one leaves the room or stops speaking, you know the relationship still exists and you hold a consistent image of them in your heart. The narcissist lacks this. When you are out of sight and out of reach, you become a threat. They cannot self-soothe. They cannot access positive memories of you to comfort themselves. They are left only with the immediate, visceral reality that they have lost control over an object they believed they owned. It is a malfunction of their cognitive machinery. The first layer of their internal panic is the shattering of the grandiose self. The narcissist constructs a fantasy where they are omnipotent, desirable, and superior. You were a prop in this fantasy, casting the role of the adoring admirer or the defeated subordinate. By going no contact, you have walked off the stage in the middle of the play. You have broken the fourth wall. This act of defiance creates a crack in their grandiose delusion. They are forced to confront the reality that they are not all-powerful, because if they were, you would still be under their thumb. We often mistake their silence for strength, but physiologically, their bodies are likely in a state of high cortisol arousal. They are hypervigilant. They are obsessively checking to see if you are watching them. They are paranoid. The narcissist projects their own malice onto you. They assume you are plotting against them, smearing them, or destroying them, because that is exactly what they would do to you. This paranoia eats them alive. They are trapped in a mental prison of their own making, constantly anticipating a retaliatory strike that may never come. Their panic is also driven by the scarcity mindset. To a narcissist, people are resources. You were a high-grade resource, reliable, empathetic, and tolerant of their abuse. Losing you is like losing a steady income stream. They are now faced with the immediate, frantic need to secure new supply. This is why they often jump into a new relationship within days. It's not love, it's resource management. It's a desperate attempt to find a new battery because the old one ejected itself. The speed of their replacement is the measure of their panic, not their happiness. Consider the mechanism of narcissistic injury. When you reject them through silence, it is the ultimate insult. You are telling them they are not worth a word, not worth a goodbye, not worth a fight. This causes a deep, festering wound in their psyche. To cope, they must devalue you instantly. They have to rewrite history in their head to make you the villain and themselves the victim. This mental gymnastics is exhausting. They are fighting a war against their own memory, trying to suppress the truth that they ruined a good thing. While they look happy, they are suffering from pathological envy. They are likely stalking your social media from fake accounts, looking for signs that you are miserable. If they see you thriving, or even just existing peacefully, it induces a rage-filled panic. How dare you exist without them? How dare you breathe without their permission? Their happiness is entirely dependent on your misery. If you are not miserable, their happiness collapses. They are legally tethered to your emotional state, while you are slowly cutting the rope. Deep down, the narcissist carries a core of shame that is toxic and unbearable. This shame is the true self they buried long ago. Your love acted as a shield, protecting them from feeling this shame. Without you, the shield is gone. The panic they feel is the creeping sensation of that ancient shame bubbling up to the surface. They feel exposed, fraud-like, and repulsive. The happy mask they wear is a frantic attempt to push this shame back down, to convince the world, and themselves, that they are not the monsters they fear they are. They are also grappling with the loss of their trash can. You were the repository for their negative emotions. When they felt angry, they yelled at you. When they felt insecure, they belittled you. You absorbed their toxicity so they could feel pure. Now, with no contact, they have nowhere to dump their psychological garbage. It begins to accumulate inside them. They become toxic to themselves. The poison they used to inject into you is now circulating in their own system, causing them to rot from the inside out. This psychological breakdown is invisible to the naked eye, but it is real. It is a structural failure of the personality. They are like a building whose foundation has been liquidated. They may still be standing, the paint may still look fresh, but the structural integrity is gone. One strong wind, one moment of silence from you that lasts too long, and the entire edifice threatens to come crashing down. This is the reality of the panic you cannot see, but must believe in. Now, let's witness the shift. The moment the silence stretches from days into weeks, the narcissist's panic mutates from internal anxiety to external strategy. This is the turning point where the smear campaign escalates into total warfare. This is sign number 1 of their panic. They begin to tell outrageous lies about you to anyone who will listen. Why? Because they are terrified you will tell the truth first. They are preemptively striking to destroy your credibility. If they look happy while doing this, it is the manic happiness of a general burning a village to save his reputation. Sign number 2 is the provocation hoover. They realize that kindness won't get you back, so they try to provoke anger. You might receive a text that is blatantly insulting, or a bill for something you don't owe, or a demand for a trivial item. This is not about the item. This is a pulse check. They are panicking because the line is dead, and they are sending an electric shock down the wire to see if the corpse will twitch. If you react, even with anger, they are relieved. They think, I still control her emotions. Your silence is the only thing that keeps the panic alive. We then see the phenomenon of triangulation on steroids. This is sign number 3. They will post pictures with a new partner, specifically staged to trigger your insecurities. They will take this new person to places you loved, buy them gifts you wanted. This feels personal because it is. But it is not about the new person. The new person is a cardboard cutout, a prop being used to wave at you from a distance. The narcissist is constantly looking over the new supply's shoulder, hoping to catch your eye. It is a performance of happiness, fueled by the panic of irrelevance. Sign number 4 is the stalking of the periphery. When they cannot access you, they start accessing your friends, your family, or your colleagues. They might run into your sister at the grocery store and act overly polite, looking sad and confused, asking how you are. They are gathering intel. They are desperate for a data point that says you are suffering. They are trying to breach the wall of no contact through a side door. This intrusion is a clear indicator that your silence is driving them to break social boundaries. The panic reaches a fever pitch with sign number 5. The false emergency. You might get a call from a strange number, leaving a voicemail about a family death, a medical crisis, or a legal issue. It is almost always exaggerated or completely fabricated. This is the Hail Mary pass of the narcissist. They are gambling that your empathy is still stronger than your boundary. They are weaponizing their own mortality or misfortune to guilt you into breaking silence. It is pathetic, it is dark, and it is a sign of total desperation. Sign number 6 involves mimicry and mirroring. You might notice, through mutuals, that the narcissist has suddenly adopted your hobbies, your style, or your interests. Or, conversely, they morph into the exact opposite of what you wanted, becoming a devout religious person or a fitness fanatic. This drastic identity shift is a symptom of their hollow core collapsing. Without you to define them in opposition, they are trying on new skins, frantically searching for an identity that sticks. They are panicking because they don't know who they are without a victim. Sign number 7 is the bait and switch apology. This usually comes when all else fails. A long email or letter arrives. It looks like closure. It admits to some small faults, never the big ones. It says, "I just want you to be happy." It sounds mature. It sounds like they have changed. Do not be fooled. This is the predator putting on a sheepskin. They are panicking because the aggression didn't work, the jealousy didn't work, so now they are trying to seduce you with the illusion of closure. It is a trapdoor disguised as a welcome mat. Amidst these signs, you must recognize the volatility. One day they are posting about how blessed they are, the next day they are posting dark, brooding quotes about betrayal. This oscillation is the heartbeat of their instability. They cannot maintain the mask of happiness 24/7 because the energy cost is too high. If you watch closely, you will see the cracks. You will see the manic eyes in the selfie, the forced laughter in the video. The facade is slipping. The turning point is crucial because it is where most survivors fail. You see the provocation and you want to defend yourself. You see the new supply and you want to warn them. You see the fake apology and you want to believe it. You must understand that every single one of these actions is a symptom of their panic. If you engage, you cure their panic. You give them the medicine they need. If you stay silent, you let the fever burn them out. The power has shifted. You are no longer the supplier, you are the observer. They are no longer the master, they are the dancing monkey trying to get a reaction from the audience. The more they dance, the more foolish they look. The more they try to prove they are happy, the more obvious their misery becomes. You are witnessing the extinction burst of a dying dynamic. Hold the line. The collapse is coming. As the silence continues, the narcissist enters the phase of collapse. This is not always a public breakdown. Often, it is a quiet, implosive destruction of their internal world. The panic solidifies into a deep, depressive rage. The happy mask becomes too heavy to wear. They may start to isolate themselves, or conversely, engage in reckless, hedonistic behavior, drinking, gambling, promiscuity, trying to numb the gnawing emptiness that your absence has expanded. This is the self-destruction sequence initiated by your refusal to participate. The new supply, that person they flaunted to hurt you, begins to feel the wrath. The narcissist, unable to extract reaction from you, turns their frustration onto the nearest object. The honeymoon phase with the new partner ends abruptly. The abuse cycle that took years to develop with you might speed up to mere weeks with the new person. The narcissist is impatient, hungry, and unsatisfied. They realize the new supply is not you, they don't know the script, they don't yield the same quality of fuel. The narcissist resents them for it. We often see a physical deterioration in the narcissist during this phase. The stress of maintaining the illusion takes a somatic toll. They might gain or lose weight rapidly, look aged, or appear disheveled behind the filters. The eyes, the windows to that barren soul, lose their light entirely. They become shark eyes, dead and flat. This is the physiological cost of living a lie. They are rotting from the inside because they refuse to heal, refuse to reflect, and refuse to be human. Their social circle begins to fracture. The smear campaign often backfires. People start to notice the obsession. Why are you still talking about your ex if you are so happy? Friends might ask. The narcissist snaps at them. They become touchy, defensive, and erratic. The mask of the charming victim slips, revealing the bitter tyrant underneath. They start losing friends, not because of you, but because their own toxicity can no longer be contained within the vessel of a relationship. It spills over onto everyone. The internal narrative of the narcissist shifts from "I am the winner" to "I am the victim of a great injustice." They wallow in self-pity. They convince themselves that you were the abuser, that you abandoned them in their time of need. This delusion is a survival mechanism. If they admitted the truth, that they drove away the only person who truly loved them, psychic death would follow. So, they double down on the delusion, locking themselves into a reality where they are perpetually wronged, perpetually suffering, and perpetually alone despite the crowd. Financial recklessness is another symptom of the collapse. To soothe the panic, they buy things. Cars, clothes, trips. They try to fill the emotional void with material density. They rack up debt to curate an image of success. It is a hollow victory. They sit in the new car and feel nothing. They wear the expensive watch and watch the time pass in agony. The objects taunt them because objects cannot love them back. The materialism is just another tombstone on the grave of their soul. In the depths of this collapse, they may attempt a grand hoover, a dramatic gesture designed to bypass logic and hit your heart. Showing up at your door, a handwritten letter of repentance, a threat of self-harm. This is the most dangerous moment. This is the predator cornered. They are not doing this because they love you. They are doing this because they are emotionally starving to death. It is a feeding frenzy, not a reconciliation. If you open the door, you don't let in a lover, you let in a vampire that will drain you dry in seconds to survive. The consequences for the narcissist are severe and often permanent. They are destined to repeat this cycle forever, but with diminishing returns. Each cycle creates more scar tissue on their psyche, more enemies, more burnt bridges. They are aging, and their charm, their primary weapon, is fading. The panic you sense now is also the existential dread of the aging predator who can no longer hunt as effectively. They are staring down the barrel of a lonely, bitter future, and they know it. Meanwhile, you are becoming a ghost to them. A myth. The one that got away. In their mind, you grow in stature as you remain silent. You become the white whale. They will obsess over you for years, long after you have forgotten their middle name. Your silence grants you immortality in their mind, while their noise grants them irrelevance in yours. This is the ultimate justice. They are haunted by the presence of your absence. The collapse confirms what you always suspected but were gaslit into doubting. You were the glue. You were the structure. You were the strength. Without you, they are a scattered collection of defense mechanisms trying to pass as a human being. The king has no clothes, and now that you have stopped looking, he is freezing to death in his own throne room. So, what is the final truth you must carry with you? It is this: the narcissist's happiness is a hologram. It has no mass, no weight, and no warmth. You have been mourning a mirage. You have been jealous of a commercial for a product that doesn't exist. The person you loved was a character played by an actor who has now been fired from the production of your life. Do not envy the new audience watching the play, pity them, for they do not yet know it is a tragedy disguised as a romance. No contact is not a passive act. It is the most aggressive, powerful action you can take. It is a declaration of war against the abuse. By removing yourself, you have removed their ability to harm you. You have taken back the keys to your reality. Every day you do not check their social media, you grow stronger. Every day you do not respond to a hoover, you grow taller. You are detoxing from the poison, while they are drowning in it. You must realize that their panic is not your problem to solve. For years, you were the emotional janitor, cleaning up their messes, soothing their egos, fixing their disasters. No more. Let them sit in their own mess. Let them feel the cold. Let them experience the consequences of their actions without your buffer. This is not cruelty, this is gravity. You are simply letting the laws of the universe take effect. Do not wait for the apology. It will never come in the form you need. The panic we discussed? That is the apology. Their deterioration is their confession. Their frantic hopping from supply to supply is their admission that they are broken. You do not need them to say "I was wrong" to know that you were right. The evidence is in the chaos they leave behind. Read the signs, accept the verdict, and close the case file. As you heal, you will find that the image of the narcissist shrinks. They go from being a terrifying monster to a nuisance, and finally, to a stranger. There will come a day when you hear their name and feel nothing. No spike of cortisol, no pang of longing, no flash of anger. Just indifference. That is the finish line. That is the moment they truly die. And that is the moment you are truly reborn. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of this silence. Real love is waiting. Love that doesn't panic. Love that doesn't punish. Love that doesn't require you to destroy yourself to sustain it. You have endured the psychological equivalent of a war zone. You have survivor's scars, but you also have a survivor's strength. Wear it proudly. You saw the devil, and you lived to tell the tale. Stop looking at their fake happiness and start building your real one. Paint your own canvas. Write your own script. The narcissist is a footnote in your history, not the title of your book. They are stuck in a loop of misery, doomed to repeat the same mistakes with different faces forever. You are free to evolve. You are free to grow. You are free to be happy, not for an audience, but for yourself. Let them panic. Let them post. Let them scream into the void. You are no longer listening. You are busy building an empire of peace that they are not qualified to enter. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It is thriving so completely that their existence becomes irrelevant to your joy. Stand tall in your silence. It is the loudest thing you have ever said. It is the boundary that defines your worth. You are not a supply source. You are a human being worthy of dignity, respect, and consistent love. Do not settle for anything less ever again. The narcissist is terrified of the dark, but you? You have walked through the fire and learned how to control the flame. Walk away, keep walking, and don't you dare look back. They are not behind you anymore. They are beneath you.